Welcome to LoadRunner Tutorial 8. In this video, we will start with the LoadRunner component called Controller. Now first, a quick recap. Using Controller, we can set up a performance test. For example, we can specify the load generators or we can specify the test duration. The settings of a performance load test is called a scenario in LoadRunner. The controller runs the performance test. Using the controller, we can monitor the performance test when it is running. Now in this video, we will learn the step 3 of the performance testing process, that is how to set up the scenario in LoadRunner. So let us look at a requirement example. If we are testing the HP Web Tours web application, a possible requirement can be that 15 users can book their flights simultaneously. Also, the server response time to complete the business process shall not exceed 1 minute. So let us see how we can set up the performance test in LoadRunner. I already have the VUGen open, and here I have the basic script open. This comes along with LoadRunner. So if you go to the LoadRunner installation folder, there is a tutorial folder there, and which has a number of sample scripts. Now all this VUser script does is make one flight reservation. So let us replay this VUser script and see what it does. Before you run this VUser script, make sure that the HP Web Tours web server is running. I already have the HP Web Tours web application open, and if we click on the itinerary button, we can see that it has made one flight reservation from Denver to Los Angeles. Let me cancel this now. Next, we need to open the controller. So in order to open the controller, we go to the HP software program group and click on controller. When the controller starts, it opens a dialog box asking us whether we want to create a manual scenario or a goal-oriented scenario. In this video, we look at how to create a manual scenario. What is the difference between manual scenario and goal-oriented scenario? In the manual scenario, we specify the number of virtual users ourselves. In a goal-oriented scenario, we specify the goal. For example, the goal can be the number of hits required per second or the required transaction response time. So based on whatever goal we have specified, LoadRunner creates the scenario automatically. Now we need to select the scripts that we would like to use in the scenario. So this can be either LoadRunner scripts or system or unit tests. Now system or unit tests are the Selenium tests or NUnit tests or JUnit tests. But we are going to select LoadRunner scripts. So I click on the basic script that we just saw and click on the add button and click on OK. So LoadRunner creates a manual scenario. Now in the controller user interface, there are a number of tabs. We have the design tab. This is useful for setting up the scenario. When we have set up the scenario, we can click on the run button and then we can switch to the run tab. So where we can see the scenario as it is running. Now in the design tab, there are 3 panes. There is a scenario groups pane, there is a service level agreement pane, and there is the scenario schedule pane. First, the scenarios groups pane. Here we set the virtual user groups with VUser script, number of VUsers, and load generators. Now in order to change this information for the selected group, we can open the group information dialog. In order to open the group information dialog, click on the details button in the scenario groups toolbar. So this opens the group information dialog. We can change the group name here to give it a more meaningful name. So let me call it reservation group and click OK. So this changes the group name. We can also change the runtime settings here. Click on details and click on runtime settings. By default, the runtime setting for think time is to replay the think time as it is recorded. But we can introduce randomness. So let us say I want to use a random percentage of the recorded think time, minimum 75% to a maximum of 125%. So we can change the runtime settings like this and click on OK. Now within the scenario groups pane, we can add more groups. All you need to do is right click and click on add group. When we click on add group option, it gives us a choice whether we can use an existing LoadRunner script or we can use a noise generator script. So if I want to add an existing LoadRunner script, I can select it here, or I can browse for it, or I can use a noise generator script. The noise generator script is used to load a specific URL. The difference between a LoadRunner script and a noise generator script is that we cannot edit a noise generator script. We can specify the URL like this. I'm going to cancel this now. Next, in the service level agreement pane, we can set the goals for the performance metrics. So when the scenario runs, LoadRunner captures whether the service level agreement metrics were met or not, and we can see this in the analysis component of LoadRunner. Scenario schedule is an important pane. Here we set the vUser ramp up, the load test duration, and the vUser ramp down. Let us see these things one by one. There is a choice. We can run the schedule by scenario or by group. What is the difference between these? When we schedule by scenario, this means that LoadRunner runs all the vUser groups in the scenario simultaneously. If we don't want that, if we have multiple groups, we can schedule by group also. What this means is that LoadRunner runs each vUser group on its own schedule. We can have different schedules for different groups. That means if we have multiple scripts, we can run multiple scripts on their own schedule. Let us go to scenario. And the run mode, there are a couple of options: real world schedule or basic schedule. Now let us select the basic schedule. Now in order to set it, what we need to do is, first, as per our performance requirement, we should have 15 users. These are specified in the quantity, so we can update that. Press enter. Now we can specify any ramp up and we can specify the duration. So let us say we can give the option of running until completion. That means each of these 15 virtual users is going to perform one repetition of the vUser script, or we can specify a duration. So let us run it until completion. Now the scenario is set up and we can click on the start scenario button. Click on yes. As soon as we click on the start scenario button, it switches to the run tab, and there we can see that init is being executed for 15 vUsers. This means that the vUser underscore init function of the vUser script is being executed. Now all 15 vUsers are running, and here we have different graphs, and we can see the running vUsers, the transaction response time, hits per second, And in order to monitor the performance test, we can monitor the Windows resources also. This we'll see a bit later. Now the scenario execution is complete, and here we can see the past transactions 150, that is the total number of transactions. We are interested in the action underscore transaction, which is the complete transaction in that script which does the flight reservation. So here it says that 15 of those have passed. So let us go to the web tours application, and in the itinerary we can see that it has made exactly 15 flight reservations, identical flight reservations. Let me clear all these reservations. So that is how we run a scenario, but this is on the basic schedule. Instead of specifying the duration as run until completion, we can also specify a particular duration. So in order to change this particular action in the global schedule, we double click on it, and instead of run until completion, we can say run for, and here let me specify run for 1 minute, apply it and click on OK, and again click on start scenario button. Now what is going to happen is that instead of each vUser running until completion, it is going to run the scenario for 1 minute. So depending on how long it takes to complete one iteration of the vUser script, a particular vUser can complete one or more iterations of that vUser script. So it is not going to be exactly 15 flight reservations. It is going to be as many flight reservations as each vUser can perform within 1 minute. Here we can see the graphs, and here we can see the scenario status. Right now it is showing in green that the scenario is running, and the elapsed time is going to run until 1 minute, because that is the duration that we have specified. It is about to complete now. Now we can see 15 vUsers are gradually exiting, and ultimately they'll be stopped. So all the 15 vUsers are stopped now, and in the past transactions we can see that it has actually gone and made 45 flight reservations. Let us verify this. In the HP Web Tours, click on the itinerary button, and if I scroll all the way down, we can see that a total of 45 flight reservations have been made. So this is about the basic schedule. Now the thing about the schedule is that our scenario settings should be as close as possible to what happens in the real production environment. Now in the real production environment, not all the vUsers will start working on the system simultaneously, and they will not all drop from the system simultaneously. So it is more realistic to use the real world schedule. So let me switch to that. Now here we can see that we can specify the ramp up, meaning we can slowly increase the vUsers. In order to change this action, double click on it. So we can have, say, one vUser starting every 1 second. Apply this, and we can see that slowly the number of vUsers will build up until it reaches 15 vUsers. Then we want to run the test for maybe 1 minute. Double click on this duration action, and here we can either type it or use the down arrow key. So the duration is going to be 1 minute, and stop all the vUsers. Again, not all vUsers are going to be stopped immediately, but we can stop one user every, say, 2 seconds. So the overall test duration is going to be 15 seconds to start the 15 V users, because one V user is going to be started every 1 second, then run the test for 1 minute, and then stop one V user every 2 seconds. So 15 V users will be stopped in 30 seconds. So overall the test duration will be 15 seconds, 1 minute and 30 seconds. That means 1 minute and 45 seconds. And this is shown graphically here in the interactive schedule graph. Now let us click on the start scenario button, and here we can see that the VUser_init function is being executed, and every second one more VUser is being added. And in 15 seconds we should have 15 VUsers. If we switch to the design tab when the scenario is running, we can see this vertical red line in the interactive schedule graph, which shows where exactly it is in the scenario. Now all 15 VUsers are currently active. The duration action is specified as 1 minute. So for 1 minute it is going to continue all the 15 VUsers. Then it is going to drop the VUsers one by one. One VUser every 2 seconds. In the design tab, it is almost going to complete the duration action, and then it is going to stop the VUsers. Let us switch to the run tab again, and here we can see that one VUser is being dropped every 2 seconds. This stop VUsers action is going to take 30 seconds for 15 VUsers. Now VUsers have stopped and it is about to complete the scenario, and we can see that the scenario status is showing as down, which means the scenario is now complete. And we can see that this ramp up of the VUsers, so slowly it built up the VUsers from 0 to 15 VUsers, then it ran all the 15 VUsers for some time, and then it slowly dropped the VUsers. And here we can see the transaction response time for the whole scenario. So it was about slightly less than 20 seconds, which means that it is meeting our performance requirements. Let us click on past transactions, and the action transaction, we see that 60 have passed, no failed transactions and no stop transactions. So it should have made 60 flight reservations. Let us verify that in web tours. Click on the itinerary, and here we can see that it has made 60 flight reservations. Clear this. So this is how we set up the manual scenario in LoadRunner. Now one other thing we can do is that we want to monitor the performance test. So we can add the Windows resources. So all you need to do is click on this Windows resources graph, right click on it and click on add measurement. So here it will show the monitored server machines. Now I want the machine to be monitored as localhost, so click on OK. So it shows localhost, and these are all the different resource measurements possible on localhost, and click on OK. So when the scenario is running, it will show all the Windows resources also. One other thing we can do is to create a new scenario, and there we can use a percentage mode. So let us first save this scenario. So let me call it scenario1.lrs LoadRunner scenario. Save it, and close this scenario by clicking on File, Close. Now click on File, New to start a new scenario. And here let us use the percentage mode. Sometimes what happens is that we know what is going to be the total number of users, but we don't want to calculate how many V users will be for one script, how many V users for the other scripts. So we can use the percentage mode. So let me add a couple of scripts by double clicking on it. Basic script and demo script. Click on OK. So here instead of quantity we are getting the percentage, and we can change these percentages. Total should be 100%. Now here there is no option to change the number of V users, so we need to double click on the action in the global schedule, and we want to, let us say, put 20 V users. So what is going to happen is that out of 20 V users, 10 V users will execute the demo script and 10 V users will execute the basic script. Now here we can have the schedule, and in the global schedule we can add more actions. It is possible to add actions from the global schedule pane, or we can also add actions from the interactive schedule pane. So here the duration it is showing as 5 minutes. So let us say we want to change the duration. We can change it from the interactive schedule graph. First we need to click on the edit mode button. Now if we want to change the duration, we can drag it, and now the duration would change here. Also we can add more actions here. So let us say we want to start 20 V users, then we want to start then we want the test to run for 1 minute, then we want to add another 10 V users. So we can say add action after, and here there are options. We can start V users or stop V users or add a duration action. So let us say I want to start V users and I want to add 10 V users simultaneously. So here we can have whatever schedule we want, which is as close as possible to the real production environment. In fact, I already have a schedule which I have created. So let me close this schedule and open that. Now here we can see that there are two groups, basic script and demo script. Now basic script has one schedule because we have scheduled by group. Every group has their own schedule. Now here we can see that the pink schedule is for the basic script. So here it ramps up the V users to 10 V users, then it runs the test for some time, then it ramps down the V users. We select the demo script. So here there are a number of actions. So what it does is it ramps up the V users to 5 V users, then it runs the group for some time, then it adds another 5 V users, ramps them up, then again runs them for some time, and then ramps down the V users. So we can have the real world schedule as per our performance requirements. All these features are available in the LoadRunner controller. So that is all for this video, and see you in the next video. Thanks again.